Late last week, RCMP stated they made arrests at a protest camp on a forestry road on Vancouver Island. They added that leaders from Pacheedaht First Nations, Dididat, and Huu-ay-aht spent several months trying to ask protest groups to leave the area in order for the logging to continue in their traditional territories. But an elder from Pacheedaht, William Jones, as the leader of the group opposed to the old-growth logging. He says the Fairy Creek area and Granite Creek are culturally significant.
It's a place of important spiritual and cultural value that is very important to my people. And it is a place, a reservoir of our past integrity.
Losa, or Rose Henry, as an elder from APTN Nation. She's been at Fairy Creek providing support for nearly 2 years. She says 2 young women from Pacheedaht Nation have been on the ground leading the fight against old-growth logging on Vancouver Island.
No, it's like a part of my teachings are, like to respond to our youth, because it's their future that they're trying to save.
APTN reached out to the 3 First Nations, but did not receive a response. The battle around Fairy Creek is into its 3rd year, with blockades first going up in the spring of 2020. Logging company Teal Jones has a revenue-sharing agreement with Pacheedaht First Nation. Last year, they secured an injunction against blockades in Tree Farm License 46, which covers a large area on southern Vancouver Island. In a public statement, the company stated Fairy Creek watershed as a small portion of their license area, and they are not logging it. More than half of the old growth within TFL 46 is protected in old growth management areas and other areas as appropriate. There are some sensitive wildlife habitats in TFL, including the Fairy Creek watershed. They are protected. You may hear claims from blockaders that Teal Jones plans to harvest in protected areas regardless, but that is baseless. These areas are protected by law, and we respect them. Joshua Wright is an environmentalist who's been working to raise awareness about Fairy Creek. He shared recent footage of the valleys around Fairy Creek and old-growth forest since the start of the protest. He says he stood on old-growth stumps set for deferral in the area.
I was on the ground in an area that was identified for deferral a couple months ago. It was identified for deferral. It was supposed to receive protection, and I was standing on stumps that were 8, 9, 10 feet thick. And that's really what we're seeing just across the board is area after area that was supposed to receive protection, not receive protection.
Teal Jones says most of what they're cutting is second growth trees, and half of the old growth in their southern Vancouver Island tree farm license is protected. Some of the groups against the logging state they want old growth logging to stop in BC to help battle climate change, while others like Elder William Jones focus on protecting old-growth forests on Vancouver Island.
And Fairy Creek and a few places up island, at the north end of the island, they're now realizing that the last of the old-growth forest is it. It's the last. And we have to save the last.
Lee Wilson, APTN National News, Kitimat.